Hey, look out. It's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe. Hey, it's Friday.
It is Friday, and we get to talk again with Kay Dodd, and she's right there. And I know I talk about this all the time, but I love that background. I ordered a green screen, so next week I'll have the green screen, so I could have a wall just like you.
Oh, wow. Well, if I, spend $16 on Amazon, get you one of these from China, you can have this. So, whatever floats your boat, Rick.
Well, it's good to talk to you. We had a chance to sit down with your pastor and talk to him on StreamYard, and evidently he's moved your letter. You're not allowed to go back to church there anymore.
Well, the doors have been locked. I've noticed that. I think they were locked before you talked to him, but they have definitely been locked for me since. Isn't he wonderful? Weren't you blessed?
Yeah,
he's a rock star.
Yeah. He's a great guy. These guys, they move in circles that are amazing, right? They have so much influence wherever they are. But this is one of those guys that is just like so real that he had a great time with us. He flowed with us.
Or at least he said he had a good time with us.
We'll see. If we're able to get him back on the show, that's always the proof in the pudding. But anyway, he's a great guy. How long have you been going to that church? A long, long time, or what?
What time is it? It's not been long.
3 hours?
Actually, Kaylee and I started there March, like the second week before the end of March last year, and just really kind of happed upon it. We were actually going to Dan's church at the time, and then one day we were driving home from Life Bridge, which is in Kennesaw, technically, all the way back to Taylorsville, and Kaylee and I looked at each other and was like, this does not bless us to drive. We love Pastor Aaron and of course Dan and the whole Hee Haw gang there. I have a niece that goes to Life Bridge. Kaylee's best friend Jade goes to Life Bridge. Ezra sings there. Jeanette goes there. A lot of connections, a lot of ties, but 80 miles round trip.
That's a long way to go to church.
Yes, I got to hold on to Jesus. I can only go 12 miles before I start, No, we just happed upon it, and literally in the parking lot the first day, the way that everything was handled was so organized in the parking lot, the way the guys were having directions for everybody to park. Kaylee just kind of, she's kind of a young at heart 22-year-old, and she went, oh my goodness, I want to join. And I was like, me too. So it's like, if the preaching's good and there's no snakes, we're in. So
that's funny right there. If the preaching's good and there's no snakes,
and the preaching is stellar and there's never been a snake. So,
as you know,
not that I've seen. Yes.
Yeah, I think the snakes come out when you're there for what, 2 years? You've only been there a year, so
the year's still young. But no, we love it there. We absolutely feel like that. You remember that old saying? Drop kick me, Jesus, through the goalposts of life. You remember that?
Yes,
I have not heard that one. That's
oh my gosh, I think it was an old song.
It's Chris Christopherson, I believe.
Okay.
He wrote that song. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Great.
Dan's too young.
Yeah.
Dan's too young for that.
I thought you left Life Bridge because of something Dan said. That's usually the case on the show.
Well, if I was holding on to that, I would have never gone to Life Bridge because I'd already been on this show many times.
I thought you left because I dressed up like a woman for that one play, but it
did have a little bit of impact. No, I think that was after. I think you were Mrs. Trench Bowl or Punch Bowl, as Rick calls it.
Yeah.
I have forgotten about that. You need to do something like that again.
Well, if COVID would go away, then maybe we could, but oh well.
Kay Dodd on the show with us. You're listening to her and you're watching her on StreamYard. Kay, 4 years ago, it says, according to Facebook, because it popped up the other day, was our first time with you, Dan and I. It's been four long years.
It's been dog years, hon. It's been dog years. It's been 28 years.
They've been 4 wonderful years.
Oh, Kay. I know, but familiarity breeds contempt. But and that got bred real quick when Rick did my joke on the air, and I just contempted ever since. This past week, I was supposed to be in Dallas, Texas for the annual Christian Comedy Association conference. I have been a part of it since 2011. Started going to the conferences in 2013 and have not missed one yet until we didn't have one. And so I still feel like I can't count this as that I missed one. We just couldn't have it. But so yeah, this past week was a little melancholy because, so I kept thinking about each day. Well, tonight would have been the showcase. This would have been the kickoff. This would have been the open mic thing. That's my tribe, the Christian Comedy Association peeps. And so we were at His Hands Church 4 years ago.
Yep.
And I was on the national showcase, and you took notes during my act and been doing that prison joke ever since.
Yeah, that was quite a night. I mean, it was packed. I didn't really expect, honestly. I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect a crowd that size. I had to go find a seat. There were no seats left in the sanctuary auditorium, whatever you want to call it. And it's very sizable. I don't know how many people.
A big auditorium,
Thousands of people. And I don't remember when you came out, but I do remember your set. And you had me at the point of this used to be a Kmart and the Blue Light Special Automotive Tire something. And then something else you said, now I can't remember. It wasn't the joke I always steal from you. It was, although that was a good one. There was something else you said, and I thought, wow, this lady here is a class act. She's very, very funny. I love her humor. Yeah, enjoyed it. So thanks for all the material over the last 4 years. It's been really great.
You bet. Well, I don't know what that would have been. Yes. I struggled a little bit when I first came out because, I had followed David Pendleton, who is an amazing man of God that I wanted to pinch his head off that night because he's incredibly funny and he's a puppet, he's a puppet show. And so I had to not only follow David, who's a rock solid stand-up, but I had to follow Aunt Tilly. And then the thing where he does the mouth on an actual human being. And so the guy was up there dancing around. And so I just felt it. I know that from my club days when you are doing tried and true material, this is not open mic night, and they're not responding in the way that the tried and true has shown you that material can get response. I had to call it out. If I hadn't called it out, it would have continued to just be and I was just like, look, people, I don't have a puppet. None of you getting up here. I'm not putting a mouth on any of you. I got my words and my face. That's what you're going to have to laugh at. This is not new material. And they just were like, whoa. And I'm actually hailed in the CCA. They still talk about that, that I called it out. And
now, is that something that you picked up? Is it something you learned, or is it just something that you just discovered maybe in a set years ago? How'd you get that?
It is a read that you have, but I think the first time I really learned that, I had already opened for Jeff Foxworthy in 1993 in Savannah. Now, he was not a household name. He was a special engagement, and he had written his books, and he had some platinum CDs. I don't know if y'all remember those. They had, talking and stuff on them.
Back in the day.
He had platinum CDs and books that had become, bestsellers, but he was not doing blue collar yet. Or if he was, it was just getting started. So now fast forward to 1999, I'm opening for him in Atlanta on the stage where he first took a microphone out of a mic stand on the Punchline stage at Hildebrand. And I go out there because I killed in front of him in Savannah 6 years earlier. And I go out there and they're just, and I realize, oh my goodness, they think if they don't laugh at me, he's going, like, I'm keeping them from Jeff. And I just stopped and I said, look, I know you people didn't pay to see me. You paid to see Jeff Foxworthy, and he's here. He loves you. He'll be out here. He's right up there. I don't know where he was. I said, give him a big round of applause. I pointed to the upper balcony and they went crazy. And I said, all right, look, he's not going to be out here any faster, whether you laugh at me or not, and I still get a check. And it's going to go a lot faster for all of us if you'll just laugh at this. And they loved me from that moment forward. So that was kind of the first real lesson that I had, that I was like, I went out there expecting to do even better than I did in Savannah. And I mean, it was feeling like a little bit of a tanking feeling. So you have to call it out. So,
well, God will use those times to humble you, though, won't he?
Oh, yes. I do. I still have something that humbles me. I still drive my mother's 2000 Corolla every now and then. The paint's peeling off of it. It's got a couple of rust spots. It's no headliner in the top of it. It was hanging down like the Addams Family house, but no shred.
I used to have a car that did that.
Eddie calls it my humility mobile. He's like, that'll humble you right there.
Yeah. Any duct tape or Bondo on it at all?
So, no, but that's a good idea, Dan. I do have some good gaff tape that I could
helps it hold together.
Put some things back together. All the door handles are broken. It's amazing. So I'm gonna plant petunias in it and put it in my front yard.
Oh, good.
Hey, we're talking with Kay Dodd. She's on the radio and on StreamYard live, and hopefully very soon you'll be able to see her at a venue near you. We're missing those shows.
Yeah,
so many folks. Hey, by the way, I know that you've been at home for a while, no doubt working on stuff. What have you been working on since you've been at home during quarantine?
Well, when this whole thing first started, Rick, I had a lot of my friends that are way more energetic than I am. I'm not sure if they take Red Bull for Jesus every day or what they do. But it was like everybody was doing something. I'm going to do a broadcast. I'm going to do a podcast. I've got this going on. I'm going to do an interview. I'm going to play games with people and I was just like, I'm going to clean my closet. My office is a mess. And so I actually thought, well, everybody's doing a podcast, so maybe I'll do a podcast. I'll talk about exercise. And then the Lord was like, you don't know anything about exercise. So I just kind of went through the alphabet. So I'll do a podcast. We'll talk about eating fish. I thought maybe a Doddcast. It could be all about me because Lord knows we love that. And then we moved on to a Godcast, and he would love that, but he really doesn't need my help in that way. Right. Or a Hodcast. We're back to eating fish again. Or maybe a Nodcast. We'll talk about narcolepsy, but if I interview people, they'd probably fall asleep while I was talking to them. And then I came up with a Rodcast about fishing, and Eddie would be the host of that. You wouldn't even need me to do it.
Yeah.
Or a sodcast, the grass, the sod. And then I thought, what do I know about that? Our grass is that special, what do they call it? Weeds. And we've never seen a piece of sod in our life. And so I just kind of went through the alphabet, and the only other one was a wadcast, which is a workout of the day. And I was just like, do we have any donuts and coffee? We're just going to cast our care. We'll make it spiritual. We're just going to cast our care upon the Lord.
I like it.
Yeah. So really, this season has been about a lot of different things. It's been about something different for everyone. It's been harder on some than others. I read that thing that said we're all in the same storm. We're not in the same boat. Yeah. And so it's been harder for some financially. It's been harder for some to be at home, to feel trapped at home. And that's taken its toll on me a little bit. Not that I have been trapped at home, because I've still had to go, or had to and wanted to go to physical therapy twice a week. There was a little window there that got shut down, but I started feeling like these four walls were closing in on me. And, we're to walk in the fruit of the Spirit, but when you start walking in the fruit that's falling off the tree, it's not good.
It's messy.
Yes. And that's where I was with some of that. So,
a good place to go to get material, Kay, is always the Walmart. If you go to the Walmart close by, boom, instant material.
Well, that is true. That is absolutely true. But I try to stay out of there too. I did go yesterday. They're doing a little counter thing, when you walk in, and
right.
I've been into a couple of thrift stores that they demand you have on a mask or you can't shop there. So that was the first thing for me.
Yeah.
But the other thing I've worked on, Rick, is just recovery is near and dear to my heart. And I'm not talking about just like alcohol and drug recovery. We don't realize this in the church, but right now I think we all do. We've all got something to recover from this COVID. And when this thing is over, it's not going to be over.
Yeah.
The traumatic effect that this has had on some people were in not good home situations, but then I look at the flip side of that, and maybe God can use that time, because he will use all things for good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose, that maybe this time the wife or the husband, whoever that's in the bad situation, got to see really clearly what it is they're dealing with. And I pray that they'll do something to, move on from that, or get recovery from that. Not just, the answer is never to leave. I left too before I married this one. And guess what? I was still here.
Mm.
So therein lies the problem.
Yeah.
When we come to a relationship carrying a bunch of luggage, it's what's in the luggage that is the problem. And so we have to recover from that. When you can bring an empty suitcase and fill it up with new problems, that's the way we go.
Mhm. Much more freeing that way, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I got to be on some, Compassion International started a thing at the beginning of COVID where they hosted weekly master classes. And when we first started into COVID, we were doing it twice a week. So for an hour to an hour and a half, every Tuesday and every Thursday, starting the week after the initial shutdown, I got to be on a phone call, a Zoom room with, I think the most we ever had was like 65 people, with some amazing speakers. Carlos Whitaker, if you don't know who he is, look him up on Instagram, Lost Wit. Nona Jones, she's the faith-based voice in Mark Zuckerberg's ear at Facebook. Got to hear her talk for a solid hour about the faith-based community within Facebook. And but Dr. Henry Cloud, the guy that wrote Boundaries, got to be on a call with him and see his home and his office, and listen to him for like an hour and a half. And one of the things he talked about this time is there are two different kinds of PTSD. And the second one was what we're living, but nobody ever talks about it. We all know what post-traumatic stress disorder is, but we've been in perpetual traumatic stress disorder. And that when things like this change, he gave the example of, you have a brain map that takes you from where you are to your kitchen, and you know where your kitchen is, you know where the fridge is. So you can literally walk down that hallway on your phone. You're not even looking at the floor. You can find your way. But somebody's moved the couch in front of your path. And so now you see that and register it and move around it. And you know what to do to get back around it. But your brain registers that as an error. And every error, a chemical is released, a negative chemical is released in our brains. So we had all kinds of errors going on, and we're going to have to recover from that. So I hope and pray that people will look to the resources that your church has or the community has for recovery, because it's not just about alcohol and drugs. We stay in here much longer. It might be. I'm teasing. I'm just teasing. I'm not. I did 24 years and 9 months.
All right.
Yeah, that's good.
Velva Kay. All right.
Oh, baby Velva.
I'm in the building.
Look at that comment there from Jeanette Maldonado.
Yeah.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah.
She is awesome.
Wait,
she is awesome.
Are you sure that's to you? It says my sweet friend.
Oh, wow. And there it is.
Yes. Well, I knew we'd get to that. I knew we would. Remember what I talked about, the fruit that falls off the tree that we walked in? You remember that?
She's about to stomp on you, Rick.
We're talking with Kay Dodd. She's there in her studio at home. Dan and I, of course, still in our studios here, StreamYard Live and on the radio. So do you see any light at the end of the tunnel as far as shows coming up at the end of the summer, early fall?
Yes, in April that light looked like a freight train, but right now it's right now it's looking hopeful. I mean, we've got a schedule and we're praying about that. I'm first leg out is August 7th. I knew that I would lose it. I'm going to Fort Mitchell, flying into Cincinnati, Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, and Kettering, Ohio is where my first, and then I think following that is California. And so I have dates booked through November. So we're just hoping and praying. We want to be safe. We want to do what we're supposed to do. The Bible tells us to follow our worldly authority, and we have. And today's the day. I'm hoping that a lot gets changed and lifted after today.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, we got to go to a break in just a few, but I do want to touch on just one thing. You've been very outspoken as far as the George Floyd incident, and just well-spoken in that and from the heart. Let's talk about that for just a minute or two.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, the outspokenness is speaking from the heart. You know, out of the heart, the mouth speaks, and out of the heart flow all the issues of life. So if we have anger and rage and hatred in our heart, you know, for someone, then that's a reflection of what's in our heart. And I just told a friend yesterday, the analogy that I thought of is that America's mothers of color, if we look at all people of color as a mother, okay, now think of a mother in your church and you hear that her son has been killed and you walk into her house, the first 10th or 30th thing out of your mouth is not going to be, well, you know, he had that trouble a long time ago. You know, he got in trouble when he was in youth group. He did this when he was. You're going to walk in her house and you're going to hold her and let her weep.
Yeah.
And so we are to weep with those who are weeping. And I had failed that because part of it, Rick and Dan, is I wanted to believe that I lived in a country that was completely free of that. And I can't be responsible for what has been done, but I can be responsible for what I do going forward and to be a sister, not anybody's judge and jury, but to be a sister. And I made myself watch that video, which was something that I had not done in times past. And it changed me. It changed my heart. It cleaned up my heart. I cried for 2 solid weeks. So I just encourage us to be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to hear. When we hear somebody's pain, listen. Just listen. A friend of mine, Jason Earls, who is the president of the Christian Comedy Association, he is a man of God, he is pastor, and he is a man of color. And he said to us the other day on a call, when someone says what the victim did or that looting is wrong, it's like it's an insult to his intelligence. He knows looting is wrong. But right now I'm weeping. I'm not looking out the window at the looting. I'm weeping for my people. And that really touched my heart. All of it has touched my heart. I've watched a lot of things, I've been studying a lot, been reading, I've got some books on order. Just think we need to educate ourselves because I think there's more to it than what has met our eyes.
So good.
Yep.
Kay Dodd, you can follow her. Dan, you want to put her how you can follow her there on the screen?
Put my billboard up there, Dan.
Right there, kdodd.com.
2 D's there. And you can also go to
Babyvelva.com. Baby,
there we go.
Better not go to that. That's that would.
Hey, we'll catch up with you in a few weeks, and we'll see what's going on. So,
okay,
we'll be right back. We got to take a break. I'm Rick Probst,
and I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.